In this video, we will show you how to replace your neutral safety switch on this Chevy Silverado. This will be located along the driver's side of your transmission. Let's get into it. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Let's put the vehicle in neutral. After you have your vehicle in neutral, if you're working on the ground, you're going to want to make sure that you apply your emergency brake and chalk each of your wheels. Turn back the key as far as possible, and let's make our way safely underneath the driver's side of the vehicle. Looking along the driver's side of the transmission, you're going to find where your neutral safety switch is located. You can tell this area needs to be cleaned down before we continue. I'll use some compressed air. Now that we have the area cleaned down, let's continue on with the electrical connector here. On this application, we have a small blue locking tab. You can pull that right out of place. Once you have that dislodged, use a small pick or small pocket screwdriver and gently start pulling down on this lower area. As you pull down on this, you can also pull the electrical connector away from the neutral safety switch. Just keep pulling this down. There we are. We'll just give this a quick inspection for corrosion up inside this area. If you see any, of course, you would want to take care of that. This one looks fine. Set it aside. Let's make our way from the connector towards the front of the vehicle here. We'll use a 15mm on this mounting nut. A quick inspection of that mounting nut. You could take hold of this arm, give it a wiggle, slide it out of place. You know what to do. Give it a quick inspection, make sure it's still reusable, set that aside. Now we can move from this area a little further forward. Now in this area, you're going to find one of your two 13mm headed mounting bolts. We're not going to loosen either of these yet. The first thing we need to do is mark the orientation of our original neutral safety switch. What you'll find is that when you do dismount the neutral safety switch, the holes are oblonged. I'm just going to use a marker here, come right along the neutral safety switch and make a clear marking. Not causing any damage to my transmission. I'm also going to mark along the neutral safety switch where my original bolt is here. We'll just make our way all the way around this. Now that we have this one marked, let's also mark the rearward mounting bolt. After that, we can continue on by dislodging each of these two bolts. This one's a little bit harder to get to. This is pretty much just for reference. Let's get our 13mm socket on here. A quick inspection of the mounting hardware. If it looks like it's rotted and weak, go ahead and replace it. This one looks fine. Let's continue on to our forward mounting bolt. With the bolt out of the way, looking into the oblong hole of the neutral safety switch, I can tell that our bolt was pretty much in the center of that port. Something to keep note of. Let's continue on, carefully prying this out of place straight towards the driver's side of the vehicle. Use some penetrant around the shaft area here. Use a pry bar. Carefully start prying this off of the shaft area. We want to be careful not to cause any damage to our transmission. If it feels like it's stuck in place, just continue on with penetrant, let it do its job. There it is, friend. Let's clean up the mounting area. Now that we have it cleaned, let's make sure that the shaft area along this portion is cleaned as well. We'll just use some fine sandpaper. We don't want to cause any damage. We just want to make sure we don't have any miscellaneous debris on the shaft. Use a little bit of lubricant on the smooth shanked area of the shaft. You don't necessarily need to get any on the threaded area. Okay, friend, it's time to install our brand new neutral safety switch. We'll pay attention to the port on the brand new neutral safety switch in comparison to the shaft on the transmission. We need to make sure that it's properly aligned. We'll just continue on by carefully sliding it in, pressing at the same time. It's a good idea to make sure you have the neutral safety switch in as close to the proper position as possible while doing so. Never use a hammer for this. We'll just rock it back and forth a little bit as needed. Bottom it out against your transmission and start in each of your mounting bolts. There's that one. Let's do the same on the front. Now that we have both of those bolts started, let's pay attention to our alignment points. We remember that the bolt was pretty much in the center of the neutral safety switch, and we also had the bottom line here. At this point, you can pivot the neutral safety switch a little bit one direction or the other. Align it as close as possible, snug up each of those bolts, and then torque those to 18 foot-pounds. That's good. Let's get the back one here. Once you have both of those snug, double check to make sure you're aligned as close as possible, and then torque each of those to 18 foot-pounds. Let's get the arm in place. Should slide right on. Continue on with your mounting nut. Never use any red thread locker on this. Now let's torque this to 18 foot-pounds as well, while holding the arm with some pliers if necessary. Now that we have that torqued, let's make our way to our electrical connector. As we bring it down and start sliding it onto the neutral safety switch, you want to start pressing up on this lock at the same time. Press it until you hear a click. Take hold of the electrical connector, try pulling it out of place. Assuming it does not dislodge from the neutral safety switch, it's locked in properly, and now we'll just put in the secondary lock as well. For this one, you just slide it in from the rear towards the front there. One last quick inspection while we're under this area, and now let's make our way back out from under the vehicle. Make your way back inside the passenger compartment and test the functionality. We'll put the vehicle in park and attempt to start it. Assuming the vehicle starts, your adjustment's perfect. If it doesn't, make your way safely back underneath the vehicle, loosen those two mounting bolts, make the adjustment as needed, and then torque it to the 18 foot-pounds. Assuming everything works as it should, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.